Goodbye, filter socks. There's one thing I've learned. I'm sick and tired of changing filter socks, so hello to the ClariSea. What's going on, reefers? Devin from ReefDudes. So on the last tank, one thing I learned is I just do not like changing filter socks. I don't change them enough for it to be fully effective, so I decided I should up my game a bit. So I decided to pick up a ClariSea. Now this one isn't like brand new, it's one of the display models that I got when I was down at Macna. So I'm really stoked to set this baby up. Changing filter socks is like a pet peeve of mine, and if you're not going to do it every couple days, you're not getting much benefit out of it. You'll filter out some particles in the water, but it's not going to prevent any nutrients. So these filter socks are an amazing way to do it. And then you don't have to worry about changing them every couple days, because really, who wants to do that? Who wants to wash them? It's way too much work. So changing a filter roll every 6 weeks or so is a much better solution if you ask me. Now I was getting ready to plumb the tank and I just realized I should probably pull this out and set this up first. That way I can figure out exactly where everything should go. I purposely did not put any sock holes in the new tank. So the question is, can we actually do this without instructions? Little flap in the bottom, kind of looks like it might be a little bypass if you want to let some water out. These will float inside slightly. These brackets will be to hanging on the back of your glass, so it can hang on the edge of the sump. And to answer the question of can we do without instructions? No, we can't. Little piece goes there. There we go. All right, so the little white notch is clip at the top. The other one goes in the bottom of this little panel. And it looks like we're going to do that for both sides. Photo instructions are actually surprisingly good. Beautiful. Hey, there we go. Yes, we got it. This is like a Jenga puzzle to get this baby together. So let's drop in a few of these little screws, tighten them up. And it will lock this together as one nice solid unit. So as normal, I've been obsessing over these for a while now, and pretty much everyone I see with them, I've been asking for how they like it, and everyone that I've talked to so far has given a glowing review. They all seem to love it. It's basically like, it's a bit of a bugger to assemble, but once it's assembled, it's awesome. And I've heard that from a ton of people, so it gives me a lot of faith in this guy, so I'm super stoked. Now the only one potential downside to some is that you have to buy replacement filter rolls, which is kind of understandable, but on the same breath, you buy a replacement filter roll or you spend endless hours cleaning socks. Personally, I had about 10 socks, and every 2 months or 2.5 months I'd wash them. And I know it wasn't nearly as enough as I should have, which is one of the main reasons to swap into these. The socks would probably be overflowing for days before I finally got around to swapping them. Pretty much came down to once a week. And if you want benefits out of socks, you should be doing it every 3 or so days. So for me, this is an easy win, and it will depend on how dirty your water is, really. Because I see a lot of people ask, how long will this last? And of course, I was asking those same questions. And it 100% does depend on how dirty your water is. I kind of half expect it to not last very long for the first couple weeks, right? The first roll will probably go fairly quick. And after that, I bet they're going to last longer. And every roll you're going to do is going to last longer and longer. Because once you get all those particulates out of the water, it's going to just prolong the life of this. So a lot of good benefits to this guy. And as time goes on, your rolls will last longer and longer, and it'll get cheaper and cheaper to operate, and less work on your part, which is the best part for me. So the roll goes down the center, and there's a little bar inside. So if we put this sideways, should be able to sneak this right underneath that little bar. Now, a little pro tip I got from David Saxby, who's one of the main man behind this invention, is if you have a replacement roll, you can just staple it to it and kind of wind it through rather than trying to push this through for future rolls. So it should make it a lot quicker and easier to swap them out in the future. Might be able to tape it, but just because it's wet, it might not stick quite as well. So just a couple staples would do the trick. So if you have filter socks, you can still actually use one. Jay from Ecotech, I was checking out his tank, and he had a really cool idea where he ran this after the filter socks. So his rolls would literally last ages because it's not really having to filter much. it's just getting all the fine particulates after, so it's almost like it's pre-filtered, which was actually kind of a cool way to do it. All right, so we got that side in, and this side comes up, and it's going to hook onto our motorized side. Now this is where the magic is. This is our motor. Now our motor is going to sit into this little cradle. And next we got a little float switch, and this sits just inside. You slide the wire down and screw the nut back on. Now the float switch is going to tell the motor when to advance. So water is going to fill up in this chamber. It has to go through the mesh to get to the tank. And as it gets clogged, the water will slowly rise and it'll trip this float switch. When that happens, it's going to spin the motor and tell it to kind of move and bring it some fresh roll inside. Now on the power plug, there is kind of a bit of a universal adapter. You get a bunch of different ends for different countries. So we get a couple different European styles and a good old North American plug. So let's plug this guy in and give it a quick test. All right, so it's on, so if I hit motor, we should see it spin. Yep. Beautiful. So it advances through as I hit the motor, so that's perfect. Now it also does come with one of these arms, and I believe this guy's if you wanted to raise this up higher, move it out of the way, depending on your sub configuration, it gives you a little more flexibility to move things around. Now these guys, we can hook it in on the side and hang it off the edge of our sump. So let's go try it and see how it looks. Right, so the filter roller is installed in the sump. The wires come out the back, and there is a tube right down the back in the middle where we'd hook up our drain pipe. So I'm gonna see if I can line it up with one of my drains and see if it can go straight down into it. So it'll be pretty cool if I can get that lined up perfectly. And just looking at it, if the full roll, if I do it right around the back, leaves a little bit of space in the front and lots of room for the dirty roll. So there also is a little flapper here. You can open it up. It's a little bit of a bypass if you didn't want to filter everything. Super stoked for this guy, and no more filter socks. If you guys want to learn more, leave some links below. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next video.